All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for being here today as we celebrate the progress that we've made in rebuilding our schools. My name is Victor Capellan. I serve as the Senior Advisor to the Commissioner at RIDE, and for the past 12 months, I've had the pleasure of overseeing the work of the School Building Authority at RIDE. I want to start by saying thank you to our host today, Principal Rosario Johnson. Thank you, Principal, for hosting us. Today, we're standing here to reflect on what 4 years of progress has meant for our schools, and to look ahead at what more needs to be done. It was 4 years ago that the citizens of Rhode Island gave our state government a mandate. After decades of policies that neglected our school communities and left our buildings to crumble, we endorsed a $250 million bond to make the state's largest ever investment in our schools. And right now, I'm holding in my hands a progress report that details the work that went into our buildings over the last 4 years. And the School Building Authority and RIDE will detail nearly 20 major projects that have made our schools a better place for students, educators, families, and communities. We're excited to share it with you, to share our vision for even more projects, especially for our most underserved districts. None of this would have been possible without the leadership of our state leaders, the leadership of our Commissioner, Angelica Infante-Green, and the hard work of my friend and colleague, Mario Carreño, and the dedicated team he leads at the SBA. They have been on the ground examining buildings, working with superintendents, facilities managers, and building this ambitious vision from the ground up. So thank you to the SBA, and thank you to the school leaders, elected officials, and school construction partners all across the state that have made this work possible. Governor, if you would join me. It is now my pleasure to present the Renewing the Dream report to our governor and to introduce him for remarks. Governor Dan McKee.
Victor, thank you for your work. Not only as Lieutenant Governor and Mayor, I know how important RIDE is to all our communities and all our school districts in the state of Rhode Island. So good morning to everybody that's here that is rallying around this, not only the bond that was passed in 2018, but also the $250 million that we're proposing that the General Assembly puts on the ballot for us in November of this year for passage for additional investments in our schools. I would just say personally, as a mayor in my town, I knew that in Cumberland it was important to invest in our schools, and during the time I was mayor, we invested well over $50 million into our schools. On today's dollar value, that's probably $100 million plus in terms of making sure that schools in all our districts and all our communities provide facilities that create excellence in terms of the opportunities for the students that live in our state of Rhode Island. So I want to recognize Commissioner Infante-Green, our municipal leaders, and all our districts who are with us today. Thank you for all your partnership as we work to strengthen our commitment to Rhode Island students. I'd also like to recognize Providence City Council, its members, and President Igliosi, who could not be here today, but thank you for your commitment to the Providence students as we're sitting here in one of the Providence school playgrounds here, right? This is a sign of that commitment as we release the School Building Authority report that highlights our work to bring school buildings up to date and provide our students with equipment and the facilities they need to succeed right here in Rhode Island. That goes for every student in every city and town, all 39 cities and towns, including right here in Providence. The school bond can make that a reality, but it is a team effort, and that's why my administration doubled down on our investments in schools and education in my proposed budget. I'd also like to recognize former Governor Gina Raimondo in terms of her leadership of putting that first $250 million bond on the ballot. And we are following her lead to make sure that the people in the state of Rhode Island know why it's so important to be supporting this bond that we're hopefully going to be able to get this General Assembly support to put on the ballot this year. For example, I proposed that we level the playing field and hire a transformational specialist that will help some of our lower achieving schools get to the root of their specific challenges and transform their schools into a place where students can succeed. Every student deserves that. And I certainly have not only talked about it, but also feel as though that we've led in many ways out of our office, and as a former mayor as well, that we know every student deserves the very best opportunities that we can provide. It is good for their families, it is good for them, their futures, but it's also good for the economy in the state of Rhode Island. I'm also proposing a partnership with our cities and towns where we can support municipal learning centers to offer year-round tutoring, classes, and other opportunities for our students. I see Mayor Lisa Baldelli Hunt here. We've been talking to them in serious conversations about how we can make that happen. We'll need the General Assembly to actually approve that funding so that we can make that a reality in every community that would want to partner with the state to make that happen on a year-round basis for learning. And we know that coming out of the COVID issues right now, that there is a great deal of catch-up that's just naturally happening in terms of the way that the schools have to operate in a safe way over the last 2 years. We need to leverage the resources we already have so we are better positioned to address the needs of our students. Thank you to the municipal leaders who are here with us today, this morning. Your partnership is crucial. I see Mayor Grebian there as well, and I know that he's led the charge in his community, not just today, but over the original school bond that was passed several years ago, Don. So thank you so much for your leadership and all the mayors that are here today in terms of why that is important, that mayors need to get involved just as well as their school departments relative to make it a town or city collaborative effort as we move ahead to do the work that we need to do to provide our students with this opportunity. I know that everyone here today, myself included, believes in the need of equity. This is why my budget fully funds the education aid funding formula to make sure that school districts do not receive a reduction in aid as compared to last year, regardless of changes in enrollment. That's about a $50 million fund to make sure that we keep our districts whole as we recover on the student counts and the people and the students that will be coming back, and they will be coming back as we improve our schools and the facilities in particular. We have to remain committed to investments that will continue a comprehensive transformation of our schools, one that fosters learning and engages our communities, and that's why we're all here today in the cold. And I apologize for being 10 minutes late. Spazione Elementary School is a shining example of what happens when we put children education and equity first. This school represents progress. We have come so far, but there is much more work to be done. I know that our commitment to the Providence schools is I've visited, I think, virtually every single school commissioner to take a look at the facilities. And I can tell you that the facilities need more work, but a lot of work has been done. And I want the public to know that the schools that I have visited, by and large, are in good shape. And that's because of the investment that RIDE and the Providence school districts have made over the last 4 years in the schools right here in Providence. More to be done. And we're going to need the support of all the voters to make sure that we have the resources to make those crucial investments.